Today on the workbench I have this is an Atlas Master Series HH660 locomotive, and of course you can see it's in the Southern Pacific scheme. The reason I'm doing this one, I had a viewer request after I did the blue box switcher that I just did, that was a 1500 SW15. I can't remember, it's either a 12 or a 1500, but had a request for an HH660, and so I went ahead and picked one up, and we're going to put a decoder in this. I've got a TCS WOWDiesel decoder, and I've got a TCS KA4 Keep Alive. It's a 21 pin decoder, so we'll be using, I'm not sure yet, I'm gonna wait till I get this apart. I'm not sure if we'll be using a Decoder Buddy Mini or one of the regular Decoder Buddies, so we'll see what it is once I get it apart. And this thing was brand new in the box. Still got some of the details to put on it. So, and it does run really well. I just tested it out. I'm also going to put in two 11 by 15. These are ESU speakers. So we'll put two of those in this, and we'll see how it comes out, good or bad. So let's get started and we'll get this thing apart. Let's see. I don't think I'll have to remove the screws from the body. At least not. Oh, careful. Drop the thing. I don't know if this one I can. Nope, that just doesn't pry apart. Yep. I will remove the screws and we'll see what happens there, because I'll upgrade those couplers and put KDs on it. So we'll get that out of the way. Yep. Got to remove the screws. I thought maybe they were just up into the frame, but nope. They go into the body. So we can pull that out. And hopefully it's just a tight fit. Alright, and this evidently is DCC ready because it has the plug, so we won't have to do anything with the motor. These are little plugs, but I'm just wondering here, evidently they messed up. Oh no, that's a resistor. Never mind. These do have little plugs. Of course, it does plug into the board. Maybe I can reuse those. So let's unplug that. So there's our shell off. And it does have, those are LEDs that are in it. They are nice and bright, so I think I'll reuse those. Not going to upgrade the lights. This looks like it'll be a good candidate for a mini, and this is the board that I just soldered the resistors to. So So that'll work out. So we've got our 2 wires coming off of the back for our track pickup, plugs in. We've got our 2 wires from up front right here, plugged in. There's that. And then we've got this plug here. This is our front light. We'll pull that off. And then this right here is our motor pickup, or yeah, power to the motor. So we can take that off of there. This has 2 clips. Let me zoom in on that a little bit, what I can. So we'll go over that again. This was our front headlight. This was our front pickups, motor, and then I believe this was our rear. Oh, this was our rear light. This was our rear pickups. So to get this board up off here, this has clips that you just push in like that. Just push that in, and that board pops right off. So like I say, this is DCC ready. It's got the 8-pin plug. We could just plug a decoder right into it, but I don't do that, not very often. We're going to do it well, I don't know if it's a better way, easier way, harder way, whatever it is, we're going to do it. We're going to add a new board. So, and just so I'll remember, I'm going to put an F for front right there. That's just something for my benefit. This is a fairly hefty model. So let's see, we've got our board off. We're ready to add this. I think I'll cut these clips off a little bit. That way it can sit down here. Yeah, I can set it right on top of those pads. And if I have to, yeah, I can set that right down on there. Of course, if I really wanted to, I could tape, just to save me some room, and just set it down right on top of the motor. And we'd still have clearance on everything there. Maybe of course this is pretty high. As long as I keep everything under the dimension of this weight, we'll be good. Excuse me. So yeah, I don't even think I'll have to. I won't even have to cut those off. I'll just put that like that, put my double-sided tape on it, and you can see that it spread these out just a little bit, but they're not hitting the flywheel. But I wonder, I could notch that. That is making it too complicated if I start notching things. So I'm going to cut those off. Let's see. Pair of flush cut pliers. I don't want to take big bites with those because sometimes if you do, they kind of break out. So there's that one. And of course that went hurtling into outer space. We'll do the same with this one. Take some small bites. So there we've cut our mount down. And really the only reason I did that, oh, there's one of my handrails that fell off. I knew something would fall off of that when I dropped it. And I'll put that in the box. It's a shame too. Anyway, back to this. So now we are right above the motor. First thing I want to do, I'll get out some alcohol here. Of course, I'll get out my double-sided tape. But I want to clean top of that motor, get any oil that could be on there off of it, and I'll also clean the bottom of this board. I will dry that off. That way we know we'll get a good clean surface. Alright, that's that. I'll just cut one piece of tape. Doesn't need to be very wide. Get that stuck on top. Get my X-Acto knife. Peel the corner off. Okay. There's that. And I'll get that set down in there good. Alright, they're picking that up by the board, so you can see that double-sided tape holds pretty well. So that's what our finished product looks like by mounting the board. Now at the beginning of this I said this was a customer, or not a customer request, but request from one of the last videos that I put out. So I guess I'll just say this: if anybody has any requests, something in particular that they want to see, just let me know, and I'll either try and find a model that we can put a decoder in, or maybe I'll have somebody send in one to have a decoder put in. But either way, if you got a request, put it in the comments in the video, and we'll see what we can do. But right now, I'll turn my soldering iron on, and we are going to start soldering. So, and I know I said I needed to keep it below the level of that weight. I believe my pins on the Decoder Buddy are up above. They're up above a little bit, but that won't matter because I can cut them off. Let's see what kind of distance we have. Looks like we have about 30 millimeters. Okay, to the top of that weight is 29. When I measure this, I'm getting 30. So, okay, we'll have enough. Now, I may end up of course, this is forward. I really don't want to get rid of the weight. I'd like to keep it. I think the KA4 Keep Alive I can put maybe in that. I don't know. We'll see here as we go. But if you'll notice, I put this is reading reverse, or the rear lights up here and the front lights back here. And that doesn't matter. You can make a CV change. Forward and reverse are basically interchangeable, I think. It's because this is the front of this locomotive here. And just wondering if I do turn that around, will that help me with my speaker placement? I don't know. We'll worry about that later on. Right now, we're going to hook up our track pickups. And this is going to be relatively simple. So I'm going to, we'll cut this off. Yeah, that'll be good. I can go ahead and strip these wires. Let me pull this up here. There's that one. There's that one. And I might as well do this headlight while I'm at it. And this does, I did put 1,000 ohm resistors on this. So let me cut a little more off of that. And that stripped off. All right. So I've got everything stripped off. You can still see every once in a while I gotta watch myself on that. I'll get off the camera or get out of frame, I guess. I'll go ahead and put some flux across all of those. And same thing here. Get all of our flux on. We'll go ahead and do this side, and then we'll do the other side. Tin those wires up first. A little more. Okay, I think we're all good for that. Now let's go ahead . Tin all these up. There's that. Break out my alcohol here. Clean those off. They're easier to clean when there's nothing on it. So there's that. Now we can go through, turn this around where it's a little easier for me to do this. And I don't like how long that is. So there's that one. Now we need our positive side, or a common side for our light. That's the red. Okay. Then we've got our negative side for the light. And then our other track pickup, which I think could be a little long there. I'll trim it off. Okay, so there we have our first 4-wire connections. Let me make that a little neater. I want that to kind of roll under there. Okay, so there's that. Here's our motor. And of course it's over here on the other side. I should have noticed that before I put that on. But let me run this under. So there we've got our motor wires underneath. We'll go ahead and cut that off. Don't need that plug. And now in a minute I will, well, go ahead and tin all that up, and I'll tin this rear pad up. And I'll cut this wire to length, somewhere right in there. Go ahead and strip this off. There's that. And then strip off the wires for the motor. Okay. Add some flux. And I think I say this in every video, but it comes a point where it's rinse, lather, and repeat on these. And that's the step we're on right now. rinse, lather, and repeat. Try and keep that tip as clean as I can. And those are a little long again. When I tinned them, it strips that coating off or melts it back. That's the great thing about silicon wire. It doesn't melt at the temperature that I have my iron set at, about 620 give or take. And that's Fahrenheit. So there's one pickup. Two pickup. And I'm going to solder these motor leads on. I've got a 50-50 shot at them being where I want them. So, oh, forgot to tin my motor leads. Yep. Trim that off. Clean the XX flux off, which I didn't do back in the back there. Alright, right now the way that sets, I can put a decoder on that and it will move and have a front light. So I'm going to get the decoder out and put it in before I do any more to this thing. So if you'll bear with me here, I can open this up. We'll get our decoder and put it on. Turn it around the right way. And of course, I think I say this every video. This is an indexing pin. There's no pin there on that end. No pin on that end. Alright. So right now we should have a fully functioning model other than speaker. Alright, I'm going to give this a shot. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, I tested it out. My direction is correct. The one thing that didn't work is the light didn't work, and I never thought about it. I've got well, let me pull this board off. I've got a 1000 ohm resistor. This is a 1,000 ohm resistor right here. And I know that's tough to see. Let's see if I can, how close I can get to it. Okay, that's about it. So this is a 1,000 ohm resistor. These are probably 12 volt lights, maybe a 15, because I tested it and I can take this resistor out and I'll just jumper this pad and it'll be a solid connection. So let me show you what I mean here. So you can see the resistor there. There you go. I mean, that's all there is to those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bridge that pad, those two pads, with solder, and that way I'll have a good connection. You can get 0 ohm resistors, but we don't need them. You can just jump the pads. Now I say that, and I won't be able to. Alright, I'm going to have to get a resistor. Or you can use a small piece of wire, either way. Get some more alcohol here and clean that off. So that's that. Yeah, if I didn't want to bridge that, it would be right there. So let me actually get a piece of, I'll take a small piece of wire and do it. So I've got this piece of wire. I'm going to tin it and then stick it down on there. And I'm just using it that long just to make it easier to hold. And now I'll just cut that off. And once I do that, make sure that it works. I'll put some I'll put a coating over that, conformal coating. It's a clear liquid, and that'll cover that up. Alright, I'm going to try this again. Okay, that time when I put it up on the track, the light worked. So we didn't need the resistor. Pull that off. And I was afraid of that. And I've got a tool to pull those off, but I was too lazy to get it. So I bent one pin there. Okay, straighten it right up. Alright, now, of course our other light is in the shell. Excuse me. So now, we can go ahead. I need to sit down and figure the keep alive and the speaker, because I really want to keep this weight in here. So let me see. Well, I don't need to put this back on because I know where it sits. I'll be able to cut those pins off, so that's no problem. Put this wire back underneath here. That way when we put the shell on, we won't have to worry about them. Alright. Now, alright. I'm going to pause here. This will be a good place for a break, and then I'll think this out, and we'll see where we can put our speaker and our speakers, because I would like to put two in here. And then, of course, I'm going to have to pull one of these resistors off for our rear light. So we'll get back to that here in a second. Okay, we're back. I think I've got a solution here. I am going to have to remove the weight that I didn't want to. So, saying that, my two speakers that I'm going to use, I've got an ESU enclosure here, and two, let's see, these are 11 by 15 sugar cubes. And I don't have anything glued down, so I'm not going to put that in there right yet. But I've got two different pieces right here. And I'm going to try this in a couple of different configurations before I settle on anything. But I know I'm going to use this bottom piece right here. I'll pull this weight off, and then I'll drill two holes in that. I'll be able to bolt that or screw that right back down to the plate. So let's go ahead and, well, I guess the first thing I want to do is I want to pull this tape off, pull this light out, and pull the tape off of my pickups. That way I won't have to fool with those. Alright, so that'll let me get rid of that piece of wire, that piece of wire. My headlight I can move. And a minute ago when I said I'd jump these pads, that's because this has a resistor in it already. So I don't know what size resistor that is, but I should have realized that when I pulled the body off. Anyway, back to the speaker. Let's pull the mounting screws. And I don't know what the part number for that ESU part is, for that speaker. Well, I do know what it is. It came in a kit. 50340 is what that model is. And there's several different setups you can do with it. So, alright. There's the screws for that. I want to take, and I'm going to have to put something a little higher across there so I won't be hitting the motor or that flywheel. but I can go ahead. I'm going to use the weight as a pattern. So I can just set that on there and then drill that out. I think that looks pretty good right there. Let's see. I gotta find me a drill bit. And that's not it. That one will work. Well, I say that. I want to drill a small pilot through that. Okay. There we go. That's a 1/16 inch bit. Turn that around. Trying not to get my head in the way. Alright, I've got it started there. Okay, so now I've got that. See if it lines up. Yes, it does. So I can move my weight out of the way. And I'll move my speakers and some of this stuff. Now, I need some spacers. Not much, just enough to get over the flywheel. So, I've got a small piece of styrene here, and it is 98 thousandths. They probably consider that 100 thousandths. So I'll cut it the length of my enclosure. Just find something to mark that real quick with. There's that. And I think my flush cutting pliers will cut that. Yep. We'll hit that with a file. Just to take that down a little bit. Okay, so that'll work. Now I've got to drill 2 holes in my piece of styrene. Let's see, I don't want to go too far back. Kind of ream that hole out a little bit. We'll drill this one, get it started. And let me drill that completely through. Better hold on that. I'm going to have to get some longer screws for this. But there's one hole. Put that there, that'll work. Then I want to try and get that semi-square. And actually that goes this way. No, it doesn't. Had it right the first time. It goes this way. Actually, I'm going to glue that down with some styrene cement. That looks fairly square to the piece. That styrene cement is some nasty stuff. It's of course capillary action. It took it all the way through there on that. So just that little bit I touched at went all the way through. So that'll be able to go right on there like that. Alright. Like I say, I'll have to get some other screws. Let me let that dry for a minute while I'm getting some screws. And that way I won't pull it off. So I'll be back. Alright, I've got that on there. And I have found some screws. They're 0.80. Now I need to drill this hole. And this slow drill is better, I think, than a fast one because it doesn't melt the styrene. So there's that. Now, I want to run my screws down through, and I forgot, those are stainless. So we'll get that run down through there. Oh yeah, plenty of room. Back that off just a little. And I'll pull this up. So there's that one. I could have went a little thinner with that. so I may file some of that off. I don't want to be up extremely high. Okay, so there's our speaker mount. And then this will set. I'm going to have to trim out a little bit for my screws, I think. Yep. Yeah, it was bound to happen. I'll have to trim out a little bit there. And I'm curious as to what this will sound like. If it doesn't work, we can pull it out and try something else. But what kind of a distance do I have? Well, without having that all the way in there, right? So right there, I'm at 5 to that. And give me about 8 millimeters. Of course, doing it this way, I'll put that on there, put that on there. My speaker will cover the screws, so I'll never be able to get those screws out of there. Yeah, that's alright. I never planned on taking it apart anyway. Let me modify this a little bit. Okay, I've got a little black line there. Silver line anyway. That'll be that side. That'll be that side. Pull that out. Just a little more. So now I'll get out the file. I think it still needs just a touch. That'll work. And I can set that right down on there. Let's see what kind of a measurement we have now. at about 11. Alright, let's see if we can get our body down on there. And then we can modify what we have to for the light. Alright, let me pull those two wires up out of the way. And just like I thought, it is hitting they have these little pieces for the lights, or the number boards on the side. Let me pull this plug out of here. Maybe I was hitting that. So we'll put this back in, put that back on. Still hitting. Let me just try it with this. I wanted to get that as deep as I could, but if I can't, I'm just kind of shaking that to see. Okay, I think we're tight there. I'll be able to put the body on. Yeah, I think we're good right there. So now, let me see something. Because I'd really like to have this speaker, or speakers, mounted right there. Okay, need to use this piece. But by doing that, I don't have enough room for the light. Well, maybe I do. So I need to modify this thing. Well, let's do this. Pull this off. I'm going to thin down that piece of styrene. I still want to get these two speakers in there. I'm just going to take a file and just kind of start whittling away at it. Let me get a measurement on this. Right now I'm at about 208 thousandths. And I can come down quite a bit. So yeah, I should have used a lot thinner styrene under that. So now, just got to take my time. Because I'd like to have the speaker case deeper. That'll do two things for me. That'll get, of course, it'll make the speaker case bigger, deeper, for more air volume for the speakers, and then it'll also give me a place I can put the light. So right now I'm down to 187. So I want to come down, and let's see what we got here. Yeah, you can see where I'm at there now. I want to come down quite a bit more. So instead of using that 100 thousandths for the styrene, I should have used like a 40 thousandths. Could have probably got away with a 20. See where we're at. So right now I'm at 179. I mean, it's coming down, which is good, but I can still go a ways. Might be easier to take and put it on my sander, but I don't want to do that. It takes too much off at one time. Okay, we are at, still go some more. Get all the dust off of that. I think I'm gonna go some more. Put it on the end of the file that's not clogged up. Let's see where we're at now. at 165, but I'm a little high on this one side. Okay, we're at 163. I'm getting closer. Yeah, I'll leave that like that. Covered in styrene dust here. All right. So now put my screws back in. So that'll let me put that extra bit on the enclosure. And I'll put that screw back in a minute. Run this one back out. And we'll put it down. There's that. That. All right, now I'm gonna put the body on, and I think my wires were in the way last time, so let's see if we can do a little better there. That crazy thing. It's hitting those two pieces. See those white? Those are number boards. They have the number boards. They had the weight milled for those, so it'd go up in there. So I may have to do something with that. So if that sits there, it's about right there. If I take part of that out, so this is kind of a semi-custom enclosure going to be. But I'm going to end up with kind of measurement will I end up with? About 28 millimeters. Those are 25. If I just had that one in, but that's not going to give me much of an enclosure. I still want that. So I need yeah. All right. I'm going to take and file this out just a little bit on both sides to get up around that. So I'm going to turn this off and I'll work on that. You don't want to watch me get this thing ready. Okay, I'm back. I have the speaker enclosure modified to accept two 11 by 15 ESU speakers. They'll sit in there like that. And they'll fire down. Well, sound goes both ways, so fire down, fire up, whatever. So I've got this case together. Once I get the speakers in, the light will sit right here on top, just like that. And there's plenty of room. I've already tried this shell. Then I can take my cutouts right here on the sides. You can see where I modified that to fit up over around the number boards. So right now what we need to do is, I need to glue those speakers in place. And I'll use some styrene cement for that. Actually, I think I'm just wondering. Styrene are kind of a slow set. Yeah, I think the styrene will go around. So I can take, and if I put both of these in here, because I'll end up hooking that up, and I always forget parallel and series. I don't know why, it's just something about it. But if I hold this down here, I'll have the two speakers like that. I'll come off of the board. I'll take this up in a minute. I'll come up one side to one, the other side to the other, and then I think I'll have to cross connect these. No, I won't. I'd go from here to here and then from here to here. Yeah, that's right. So anyway, let me get these things fastened in. I've got enough clearance there to get my wire through. Yeah. So I'll go ahead, let me pull one speaker out. And I can't get that brush down in there. So I think see, that stuff dries almost instantaneously. Let me hold down on that for a second. So I think we'll be good there. Now, do this other one. And I put this in here. I'll have enough room to go up through with my wiring. And that one will pull out now. Okay, so it's good. All right. All right, let's get this last speaker in here. And we'll do like we did the last time. We'll get our styrene. And it'll be series is what I want to do. So I'll end up hooking I'll come off of my board, go to one side, and then I'll cross them. And that'll give me series. So instead of 8 ohms at a watt, I'll have 16 ohms at 2 watts. So go ahead and pull the decoder off. Before I wire that or put that light in there, I'm going to go ahead, get out some wire for the speaker. And we'll cut a piece. Still got the iron on. Let me move my styrene out of the way. Some of this other stuff out of the way. Speaker parts in the way. So we'll get that tinned up. And then here in a second I'll tin the speakers. But so I'm just stripping the ends of this. This is silicon wire. Okay, got the flux on there. Go ahead and tin that. Tin that. that. I've still got styrene dust all over me. Get out a Q-tip here. Clean that off. There's that. The lid back on that. Okay, and you can see there's two speaker terminals here. There's that one. There's that one. All right. Pull this up enough to get some wire here. All right. Go ahead and strip these. And then break out some more flux. Right. Now, we'll get in here and get this fluxed and tinned. And those are really push-on fittings, or you can clip the wire to them underneath. I don't like that. I've never had good luck with that. So I always just put a dab of solder on them. That way I have better luck with it. So now what I want to do, I'm going to strip some more wire here. And then I'll go one to the other. Some flux on those. So there's that. Never fails. Okay, let's see. Let's cut this wire off, and then we'll stretch it over there. Actually, while I got it here, I'll just solder this end. Okay, and I'll cut that off the same length. Let's try and get up here in the center of the frame. And then we'll put some flux on here. Tin that up. Tin that up. Now the bad part of this is once I get this down here, I got to solder the other side to it. Or solder the other wire to it. And what that normally does is takes and pulls the other wire off. Alright, so now have I? Yeah, I'll get some flux on that. So there's that one. And then there's that one. All right, that was easier than I thought. Of course, I say that. Still got to make sure that it works. Pull this up through. This will sit down here. All right. I'm going to try this thing out. We'll put the body on it here. Oh, don't forget the decoder, dummy, like you've done half a dozen times. And doesn't that look so much neater now? Unless you look at it from the side. But so I still don't have the keep alive in it yet, but one step at a time. Get my wire up out of the way. This won't be the final placement for the wire. Alright, that sits down on that perfectly. So now, let me try this out. I'll be back. Alright, I'm not sure what I was thinking when I did this. So, I wired this thing up completely wrong. And I mean just absolutely wrong. And so, probably not a lot of people would show that, but I like to show my mistakes. So, yeah, I was going for series on this, and basically what I did was just, I went my 2 poles off of the board. So that would have been fine with just one speaker. But then, for some reason, and I don't know why I did it, I went from this pole to this pole. And so I'm going to hook this thing. Take that off. And then I'm going to take this off. Because this was just absolutely ridiculous what I did here. Now what I want to do to make this in series, well, I might as well just start completely over here. Take that off. All right. Get that out of the way. So what I want to do, I'm going to take one side and go up here. The other side will go down here. And then I can run a wire. Let's see, that's, well, I think it'll be, yeah, that'll be fine. I can move it out of my way. Alright, this one will go down here. Okay, so I've got, let's just say this is negative and this is positive. I've got one side coming to the negative, one side going to the positive, and then I need to connect these 2 wires. Or connect this wire from the negative back to the positive. This will give me a series wiring. And it doesn't increase the wattage. It will increase the resistance. So these are 2 8-ohm speakers. That'll make it a 16 ohm install, but it'll still be at 1 watt, I think. Yes, that's right. That is right. Okay, so now I am going to take, and I'll try it now. So let me put my decoder back on. I'll turn this off for a second and then I'll be back. Okay, now that we're back, that worked. Yeah, like I say, I don't know what I was thinking when I first hooked that up, but I had that totally screwed up. But anyway, now I'm just going to kind of fasten this wire down to the side frame here. Put a little drop of glue out. And what was I going to use? Use some. Just going to put that in there. And that'll glue that right to the side, or it should. And it didn't. There we go. There's that one. We'll do the same thing over here. That'll keep that out of the way of that flywheel. Yeah, get down here. I think there may be a little bit of oil on that wire. But I'm going to hold it there for a second. Okay. And that's just regular CA glue. That didn't hold. There. Okay. So I could take and I can glue this light down also. Yeah, I'm not gonna glue that because that CA puts off a, if you notice, it puts off like a white, well, I don't want to say a white cloud, but it off gases and it'll fog up glass, clear things. So the light, and this will be a good place to stop too once I get this down. Be a good place to stop, and I can come back tomorrow. Everything will be dry. I'll put the light down with some goop. E6000. Yeah, like I say, I'm not sure what I did with that speaker, why I wired it up the way I had it wired up. But anyway, I want to show you that I do make mistakes. But I go back and fix them. Okay, so there's our light fastened down. That'll be good for tonight. Now tomorrow when I come back and work on this, all I'll have to do is put in the current keeper, and that'll mount in the shell, and then hook up the rear light, which, I mean, it's already in the shell, but we'll be able to use that. I'll have to take off one of the resistors off of that board too for that, because it'll be a zero ohm deal. Our wires are good up front. All right. I think this is gonna work out rather well. Lots of room. I have the KA4 to put in this, but I may go with the KA2. It's a little smaller. But anyway, I'm done for today. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, we're back here this morning, and let's see, we've got our speakers all mounted. Everything works. We have our light mounted, so that's nice and stuck down there. I'm glad I took the time and glued that in last night. That way we won't have to wait on it today. I'm going to pull the board back off, or the decoder back off, and then we'll hook up our rear light, and we've got our Keep Alive to put in. and then we'll be done with this. So we're moving right along. Get this pulled off. Set it aside. Okay. I still need to put a little conformal coating on that one fuse that I removed, and we're going to have to find the fuse for this rear light. And I had that traced out at one time, and I didn't write it down, of course. So let's see. Go ahead and turn on my soldering iron, and I know I need to put some flux down here. That way we can get that in there. I'll need to put some flux over here on my, this is the ground pad and the positive for the current keep alive I mean. So that's that. Let's see. Go ahead, zoom down a little more here. So these are the rear lights. There's that. And then the pads for the keep alive. Then we'll get out some alcohol here. Clean those off. Alright, so got that. I'm going to set that aside for a second. We'll come over here to our shell, and really, of course, on my lights I'm going to reuse these wires because they have the little clips on them, or little plugs, and actually the positive or common wire has the resistor on it, so why not reuse it? So there's that. Be able to just cut that off. That'll let us tie into our Decoder Buddy. And then we can decide where we're going to put our keep alive. So I'm going to go ahead and strip off my wires here. get some solder. Okay, there's that. Now I'll go ahead and hook them up, or solder them in. Of course, dumb me. Go ahead and unplug those. I don't need them plugged in. So we've got our positive. And if I can get my fingers out of the way. And we're negative. So there's for our light. And then I'll set this aside to move that up. Get our Keep Alive out of the bag. Oop. And these Keep Alives come in a couple different versions. You can get them with the connector, like this one has, but I'm going to cut that off. I'm actually going to put this in the shell here. Get it turned around. I'm going to set it right there, right in front of those lights, because there's no place to set it on the chassis itself, which would be the best place to put it, but I can't do that. So anyway, I'll put that down with a piece of double-sided tape. Of course, the first thing I want to do is clean the bottom of the Keep Alive off. And then I want to clean off where it's going to set. That's just so that'll clean the oil and everything off of it. Give us a nice clean place to set. Dry that up a little bit. Dry that up. All right. So there's that. connector off. There's that. Grab a hold of this thing up here. Pull those out of the way. I'll set that in there nice and neat. Push it down a little bit. All right. There's that. We're ready to put our keep alive wires on the board. And we're ready to, well, we'll have to remove the one fuse, or not fuse, but resistor. So, let's get that. A little flux on these. So our blue is our positive. Let me clean that tip off. I don't know if you can, I'll get down here to where we can see that a little better. So that's our positive. That's our negative. Now we can go ahead and plug our lights in. Maybe I'll order a clip for that, or connector. I don't know. But anyway, let's get out. We'll get out a meter. Put that over to where I can read. All right. Okay. I went through And I'm not going to have to change any of the other resistors out. So the rear light is fine the way it's at, or where it's at. So we won't have to change anything. Everything is hooked up now. So I'm ready to put the decoder back on it, and we can button this thing up, and we're complete with it. So let me put that down on. Got the decoder on it, and then we can kind of tuck our wires up in here a little neater. So let's get that. Okay, that clipped up in. I think I'm not all the way up in. Let me get my knife out. Instead of having that right up in your face. I'll get those clips down on. All right. Looks like we are good to go there. So that's our installation in a nutshell. I'm going to change the couplers out while I've got this apart, and then I'll put you on a side view and you can see the finished product. So, alright, let me turn you off. I'll change out the couplers, and we'll go from there. Alright, got you up here on the test stand. Got it all back together. I put the handrails on it, the front and rear ones, they come disassembled. So let's fire this thing up, and you can listen to it. And then we'll blow the horn there. Get it moving. You can see, you can hear it ramping up through the speed steps. A real good sound to it. That's not the prototype alco for this, but it is an alco. Got a nice sound to it. turn it around here so you can see the front of it. The headlight on. So there's our headlight for the front. Now rotate it around here and you can see the back. And then we'll go ahead and I'll stop it here in a second. And we'll let her coast. Hit the brake. Alright. We'll change our direction. So there's our rear light. Let's start up through. Alright, that's today's project, and I believe I'm going to call this one complete. Of course, I've upgraded to the KB couplers. Alright, let's start that back down. There's holding the brake on it. I'll shut the light off. And we'll call this one good. Thanks for watching.